Greetings, guys. I hope that everyone is good and well today. So, today we're going to be looking at the gold chart. So, let us get straight into it. Already I can see that we had an overextended M formation rather in this region with a neckline being there. However, price came back to retest that neckline, and this is where we would have looked for further selling opportunities. However, we saw price breaking that neckline to the top. And the reason why, in my humble opinion, price broke this particular area and went to the top is because we have this huge M structure over here. And when it comes to M formations, what normally happens is once the neckline has been broken, a lot of traders and investors would sell, putting their stop losses just above that M formation, which is what we saw in this region where price was actually stop hunting the stop losses that are located in this region over here. Also, if you look at the top part of this information, it actually aligns with the top of this particular move over here, being that the stop losses are located in this region. So let us continue. I'm just going to zoom in quite a bit so you guys can see what it is that I'm referring to. Another important thing that happened is that we saw price in this region creating what seems to be an inverted head and shoulders pattern, with the left shoulder being here, the head being here, and the right hand shoulder being in this region. However, this particular move was completed when price broke over this part. So what I'm going to do now actually is add a neckline to this particular area, because it is a very important area of support, and in the future we might see price coming back to this region to retest it. So let's continue. Another important thing is that we saw price creating what seems to be an overextended M formation, with the neckline being in this region. However, technically speaking, we can't really regard this move as an M formation as yet, because we are yet to see price breaking the neckline and then coming back to retest it. So let us continue. So what I'm going to do now is actually add a neckline to that particular M structure so that we don't forget about it. Just bear with me, guys. Here we are. So what else do we see on this particular chart that is of significance? Another very important thing is that we now have a very strong area of resistance in this region. We also have this candlestick over here, which is a bullish candlestick with a small body and a long upper wick. So what this tells us is that where that upper wick ends, we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting there, and at one point or another, price needs to come to that region to retest, or rather to grab some of that liquidity before actually perhaps going down to this level where we had that inverted head and shoulders pattern to retest that level. So before we continue, what I'm going to do is actually add a line to that structure, or rather that candle, so that we don't forget about the fact that we have a whole lot of liquidity that is sitting at this level. There we go. So what else do we see on this particular chart that is significant or important? We also have this candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So what this tells us is that we have a whole lot of liquidity at this level, which needs to be triggered by the market at some point. Also, this explains why we are currently having this formation, which is an M formation, and the neckline being in this region. Should price break this neckline and then come back to retest that neckline, we would look for selling opportunities, and our first take profit area would be this area over here, which aligns with this particular candlestick, which is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So this particular candlestick also aligns with this particular area of support where we had that huge inverted head and shoulders pattern. So this is a very important area of support, and it's quite possible that in the future we will see price testing that area. So let us continue. What I'm gonna do now actually is just add a line to that particular candlestick so that we don't forget about the fact that it is a liquidity candlestick. Just bear with me, guys. Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. There we are. So what else do we see on this particular chart that is significant or important? What else do we see? So at this point, I don't see anything else that is significant or important. What I'm going to do right now is head over to the weekly chart. So here we are on the weekly chart. What else do we see here? So another very important thing on this particular weekly chart is that over and above the fact that we have this huge M structure, which we spoke about on the monthly chart, is the fact that we have another smaller M structure in this region with the neckline being there. As I said earlier, that when it comes to M formations, ideally what we would love to see happen is price breaking the neckline and then coming back to retest it, which is where we would look for possible selling opportunities. In this particular formation that we have right now, we are still to see price coming back to the neckline to retest it and then possibly pushing down. So that's one of the things that we are going to be looking out for, where we anticipate that price would come back to the neckline and possibly push down. So what I'm going to do right now is add a neckline to that M structure. Just bear with me, guys. There we go. This is my neckline of this particular M structure. So let's continue. What else do we see on this chart that is of interest, of significant, or rather significance? So that huge M structure we spoke about on the monthly chart has a neckline over here. The neckline is also a very important, or rather a very strong area of support, because we had price bouncing here, bouncing there twice, bouncing here, and in the future we might see price bouncing at this region and then maybe pushing up towards this candlestick, which is a bullish candlestick, and where we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting, which needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another, and then we might see price perhaps coming down, right? So let us continue. Another thing that is also very important is that we saw price over and above us having this huge M structure, creating a whole lot of W formations in this region. There's a W formation there. Price came back to retest the neckline and then pushed up. We have another W formation in this region with the neckline being there. Price went up, came back to retest the neckline, and we might actually see price going up again to grab some liquidity before coming down, because this is a W formation and price came back to the neckline to retest it, and we might see it actually coming down. However, it may also bounce here, or rather price may bounce at this region because we have this M structure here, and we might see price after bouncing here coming down. However, let us keep going. So from here, what I'm gonna do actually is head over to the daily chart. So here we are on the daily chart. The first thing that I'm going to do on this particular daily chart is add my channel. Just bear with me, guys. Here we are, adding my channel. Just bear with me, guys. I'm just going to make it a black color. There we go. So here we are on the daily channel, or rather the daily chart. So what else do we see on this chart that is significant or important? We also have a candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick, or excuse me, a bullish candlestick rather, with a small body and a long upper wick, which tells us that at this level we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting there, and price has to come back to that level to retest it. Another thing that I see is that we seem to have an inverted head and shoulders pattern forming in this region, with the left shoulder being there, the head being here, and the right hand shoulder currently being in development. So what may happen is we might see price come into this region to grab that liquidity, and maybe also come to that level to grab that liquidity, and then maybe push down. However, we also have remember this information over here, which we spoke about, and price broke the neckline, and we might see price coming back to retest the neckline and then possibly push down. So let's continue. So what else do we see on this chart that is interesting? I don't see anything else really, to be honest, that is significant. So what I'm going to do right now is head over to the H4 chart. So here we are on the H4 chart. The first thing that I'm going to do on the H4 chart is fix my daily channel. There we go. Remember, guys, that when it comes to any drawings that we add to our charts, we need to make sure that they are as accurate as can be, just to ensure that at the end of the day our execution is also as accurate as can be. So here we are on the H4 chart. So what do we see here? We also have another area here, which is a bullish candle with a small body and a long upper wick. So we have a whole lot of liquidity there. However, where the liquidity is situated is almost in line with this neckline of that huge M structure we spoke about on the daily chart. So let's continue. What else do we see here? Before we continue, actually, what I'm going to do is add my H4 channel. Just bear with me, guys. Here we are. According to the H4 channel, we are in an end, right? I'm just going to make it a different color so that it stands out somewhat. I'll make it a blue. There we go. So here we are on the H4 channel. The first thing that I can already see, or one of the first things that I can already see, is that we have a very strong area of resistance in this region. Over and above that, we also have an M formation in this region, and the neckline is here and has been broken. However, the channel is yet to be broken as well, right? So what may happen is that price may keep going up to retest this area again, or it may break this neckline as well as this channel, in which case I would wait for price to come back to the neckline to retest it, and I would look for further selling opportunities. And my first take profit area would be this region over here, where we have a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick, which tells us that at this level over here we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting there, and that price at some point has to come to this level to grab that liquidity. That's what I see on the H4 chart. Just also bear in mind that on the very same chart we had this inverted head and shoulders pattern, which I showed to you actually on the daily chart. So over and above us having this inverted head and shoulders pattern, we had some W formations. There's one there. However, price never got to the neckline to retest it and then push up, right? So we need to keep in the back of our minds that we have all of these formations forming, and we need to be cautious. However, as I said, we have this M formation over here with the neckline being here, and the neckline has been broken. However, I'm not gonna sell just because the neckline has been broken, and the reason why I won't sell is because we have this channel over here which is yet to be broken. Should price break this channel, I would wait for the market to come back to the neckline, and I would look for selling opportunities. And my first take profit would be this candlestick over here where it ends, and that's where I would take my first profit, because as I said, it is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. Nonetheless, having said that, as much as we do have this M structure over here, there's a very big chance that price may go up to test this area, and that is because we have that huge M structure which has a neckline at that level. Also, over and above that, if I can just go back to the daily chart, we also have this level over here, which is a liquidity level which price needs to get to at some point or another. Also, we have this level over here, which is a liquidity area which price rather needs to get to at some stage or another. However, short term wise, I would